you guys see what's on the screen there. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for you. Men who ask single mothers this question: how are your kids going to be an asset to me if we get married? And I also said, answer this question by explaining how your biological children is an asset to you, and then explain an answer that you would accept from a single mother. Now, the reason why I decided to tackle this conversation is because I've seen a young woman on TikTok, and I'm not going to share her video because she went down a whole rabbit hole in regards to it sounds creepy and what do you mean? How are my children going to be an asset to you? And I'm pretty sure you guys can understand what tunnel she went down, and it was absolutely nuts. However, Britt did bring up another discussion that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and it's based off of one of the talking points that Kevinsamuels said. And like I said, I love Kevinsamuels' content, but there was a lot of things that I did disagree with and a lot of things that I agreed with. And this was one of the things that I disagreed with. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of the fact that when I asked this question, there were a lot of people coming out of the woodwork saying, I never understood that. It's a dumb question. I don't know why people say that, because it makes no sense. How can somebody else's children be an asset to you? And over in my space, I want you guys to make sure that you are free thinkers. I don't want you to be guys that are led by the group and what people are tending to agree with. And again, you don't have to agree with everything I say. You don't have to agree with everything Kevinsamuels says, Dr. Umar says, but I find it very, fascinating that you guys are able to separate the foolery that Dr. Umar says, and then you'll say, but I do like him when he says this. And that's something that I do, because I know that I don't have to agree with somebody 100% if there are certain talking points that I don't align with. And this is actually one of them. And I see guys using this on panel shows.
Let me ask you this. How are your kids are going to be an asset to me if I was dating you?
I would never date a man that ever asked me no craziness like that.
But, and I'm going to give you guys a quick tip, when you're trying to debate or you're trying to use facts, data, so on and so forth, you need to have answers to your questions, right? So if you're going to ask somebody a question such as this, how can your children be an asset to me? And the woman is, of course, she's going to be stumped because there's no real answer. And like my homeboy said, he says, very rhetorical. You want her to disqualify herself or to stump herself on this question because there's no real answer. But if you're the person as a man asking a single mother that, and you don't have an answer to it, then that speaks volumes about you, because you're basically trying to shame that woman for no reason. If you didn't want to date a single mother in the first place, then why are you entertaining the conversation with her? Does that make sense? So that's why I asked this question, because in the comments, nobody had a real answer. They started adding variables. Well, what is this? What is that? And I've only actually seen one person answer this question correctly. And it's going to come from a very unlikely place. So I want you guys to hear this.
Say, for example, look at a child as somebody else's mess to clean up. I married a woman that had 3 kids, as a lot of people seem to know. And it wasn't because the father was a piece of shit. It's because they got a divorce for whatever reason. I work with the father to raise the kids. I love the kids. I consider children to be an asset. I love, I could have married, you and I both are guys who have a little bit of money. You know how it is. You got a little bit of money. You could pick the litter. I could have got a woman 25 years younger than me and had a newborn baby. I just didn't want to have a newborn baby. I like mentoring kids. These kids have helped me make millions of dollars because they helped me run my business. This is fun for me.
All right. So you guys see that interview that was between Dr. Boyce Watkins and Anton Daniels. It happened about 5 or 6 months ago. Dr. Boyce Watkins was actually the only one that I've heard answer that question correctly, because he owns a business. So he said, me taking on this woman's 3 kids, they're going to be assets to me because they're going to work for my business, which made him millions of dollars. You see the difference? So if you're just a man simply asking it to disqualify a single mother, then that makes no sense. Why don't you be honest and upfront and just tell her that, hey, I do not prefer dating single mothers, and move on, instead of trying to shame her in public or in the comment section by asking a dumb question if you don't have a business. And again, I know you guys have your reservations about Dr. Boyce Watkins. I do too. But in this sense, he's absolutely right. He had an answer to the question that a lot of guys asked to disqualify single mothers that they had no intention of dating in the first place. So that's why I'm trying to stop you guys from getting involved in these certain conversations or just aligning yourselves with certain things that you don't agree with just because the cool kids, quote unquote, agree with it. Because like I said, if you don't believe me, go back into the comment section and see how many conflicting views were had on that particular question. And and I know you guys asked, well, why are you talking about a Kevinsamuels talking point? If you guys forget, don't forget that my Facebook page started off as a question of the day. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted you guys to think about certain topics and actually respond logically. And this was one of those cases where I expected you guys to respond logically instead of introducing so many caveats and just simply outright saying, don't date single mothers in the first place. But we all know that black men are the ones that marry single mothers the most by percentage points, right? Per capita. Yeah. If you guys didn't know that, we covered that in a couple live streams before, right? And I'm not saying that's what you're supposed to do. However, if you're a man with kids, I would recommend, if I had it my way, I would recommend that you guys partner with women that already have kids. Because one thing I don't want men with kids doing is taking women who don't have kids, in particular black women who don't have kids, off the market for the 54% of black men who have never fathered children. So when you guys say it's different when a man has kids than when a woman has kids, because he doesn't expect her to come in and handle the bills and things of that nature. But there's also that caveat of him taking one of the 39% of black women in particular who have never mothered children off the dating market for the 54% of black men who have never fathered children. Okay? So you see what damage that does. So I see you guys say, I don't want to marry a woman with kids if you don't have kids. So if you're promoting this thing saying that married black men should be taking childless women, black women off the dating market, then that shrinks the pool for you. And again, I understand this, the passport bro movement. I understand, you're trying to date outside your race, but at the end of the day, we tend to pair with our own. So no matter what you say in regards to, hey, I'm going to just date outside my race, the majority of black men won't do that because we tend to pair with our own. 54% of black men, no kids. 39% of black women have no kids. Make sense? So yeah, start thinking about these things before you guys just respond or go with the flow instead of questioning certain conversations. Like I said, I know you guys have this issue with Dr. Boyce and he said some crazy stuff. Let him, have his own situation. He married that woman knowing what it was, so it is what it is. So that's why I posted that, so you guys can start thinking instead of just going off of what I agree, and you don't even know what that actually means. Unless you have a business and you plan on marrying a single mother and employing her children like Dr. Boyce Watkins did, then stop asking single mothers that question if you have no intention to date them, because it's rather backhanded and it's a shaming tactic that grown men, successful men don't have time for, in my opinion. But if you feel that's something that you need to do to shame somebody that you have no intention in getting involved with, do you. But I don't condone it, and it is what it is. So